An object is thrown upward from the top of a 100-foot cliff. Its height in feet above ground after t seconds is given by the function f of t equals negative 16t squared plus 10t plus 100. Find the maximum height of the object and the number of seconds it took for the object to reach its maximum height. So they're asking us to find a maximum height and the time that it took to reach the maximum height. Well, what is a maximum height? Well, that is something that we have to realize is based on whether a parabola opens up or down. If the parabola opens up, because the coefficient of the x squared term is positive, right? The leading term is positive, so the parabola opens up, then that vertex is going to be a minimum. If the parabola opens down because the leading coefficient of the x squared term is negative, then that is going to be the top, or the maximum value. So that's what they're saying here. This opens down, which is true because the squared term has a negative coefficient. So this is going to have a maximum here at the vertex. So it's that vertex that we're looking for. So the function f of t equals negative 16t squared plus 10t plus 100. We need to find the vertex. It's in the standard form, so I'm going to use the formula that we just learned, which is negative b over 2a. So in this case, b is 10, and a is negative 16. So negative 10 over negative 32. So that's going to be positive 10 over 32, and it looks like we can divide a factor of 2. So that'll be 5/16. If you want to use a decimal, I'm sure that's fine too. That's 0.3125, either or. But what did we just find? The t at the vertex. So the time that the object reaches the maximum height is 5/16 or 0.3125 seconds. That's the time, but they also want us to find the maximum height. So how are we going to find that maximum height? In the height equation. So if we put, I'm going to do 5/16 here, then that will show us what the height is at that maximum for the vertex. Okay, well, let's put that in the calculator. So that first term will be negative 1.5625. The middle term, that's plus 3.125 plus 100. So let's add these all together and find that to be 101.5625. So that is the maximum height. So the time we have to reach a maximum height of 101.5625 feet, right? The feet. Yep, feet above the ground. So that answers the question. That's not actually very high. It's a 100-foot cliff, so it only went about 1.5 feet higher than that height. But that is the maximum at the vertex. Another part of this asks us, when does the rock reach a height of 12 feet? So when is asking us to find the time when the height, or f of t, is 12. So I'm going to set the equation equal to 12. So 12 is negative 16t squared plus 10t plus 100. Then we need to solve this equation for t. So I'm going to have to opposite this 12 from both sides to get 0 on one side. And that'll be 88 feet. Then I want to see if I can factor this side, at least factor out a greatest common factor. It looks like everything is even, so I'm going to factor out a -2 because I don't want the first term to be negative. So let's divide from those terms to see what remains. That'll be 8t squared minus 5t minus 44. And I can look to see if this factors, or I can just go straight to the quadratic formula. Because again, if I divide -2 from both sides, then this is going to be 0 still. This is going to divide out, and that leaves just the 8t squared minus 5t minus 44. So a is 8, b is -5, and c is -44. So let's go ahead and use the quadratic formula. Solving for that middle variable t is -5, so +5, plus or minus the square root of -5 squared minus 4 times 8 times -44, all over 2 times 8. So we need to simplify what's under the radical. -5 squared is 25. There's 2 negatives, so that'll be plus. 32 times 44 is 1408. All over in the denominator, 2 times 8 is 16. So then we can go ahead and add together what is under the radical. 25 plus 1408 is 1433. Which does not have a perfect square root. So let's see what we can do with simplifying this. And I can't find any factors for that, so we're just going to leave it as it is. It doesn't simplify. This is in seconds, so we do have to separate these answers at least. 5 plus root 1433 over 16 seconds, and 5 minus root 1433 over 16 seconds. And this one's going to be negative, so that's not going to make any sense. So we will stick to this as our final answer. Let's get an approximation here. That ends up being about 2.678 seconds. About. They didn't ask us to round, they just asked us when, so we should use the exact answer. Unless we're asked to round, then we'd round to a specific place value.